said it stops, then it is what it is. All right.
That's right. We're here.
We are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, how are you? This is Who Thought We'd Be Here?
Yeah, man.
I'm Steve, and with me is JP.
We thought we'd be here, bro. Just so I'm not looking at that.
So, this is a podcast. It's going to be about mental health. A lot of topics we'll talk about. We'll have stuff to relate to that. Me and myself, I am personally on a very expansive journey right now, going through all of it, changing who I have been from day one into somebody completely different. That's way better, in my opinion, than I think was before.
I would agree.
More mature, more developed,
I would
disciplined.
definitely agree.
Definitely way more disciplined. And yourself?
Yeah, man. I mean, we always talk about like how our journeys are a little bit different. How yours has been like very quick, and mine has been like I'm trying, like churning out slowly, little by little. Trying to get a little bit better. And you know, a lot of like just talking about who thought we'd be here is me and you didn't think that we would be here.
Never thought I'd
We
be
didn't think
making
we'd be
podcasts.
here together, for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's been certainly some bumps in the road.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot of stuff.
Didn't talk for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Now we're here.
Yeah. and that I think is, like I said in the first episode, which is who thought we'd be here. You know what I mean? We never thought that we'd be the guys who, like, you know, we try to go to yoga.
Yeah.
We try to not lose our tempers anymore and be better.
Very, very mild mannered.
And I think that a lot of you people out there would probably say, who thought that they'd be there?
I don't think there's a lot of people that'll be watching or listening to this that thought me and you'd be doing a podcast. But this is 30. We're changing. And hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're changing in some way, shape, or form too, trying to get better. Definitely not trying to get worse. Nobody's trying to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
These are trying times, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're trying to just have conversations, meet people who also say to themselves, like, who thought that we'd be here? Like, who thought that I would be a meditation teacher? Who thought that I would be, married with kids? Who thought that I would not be drinking? Or, or who thought that I would live here instead of there? Anything like that, really, is, I feel like, the kind of like, we're seeking out anybody who's, like, was able to make that,
make
that growth change.
Figure it out, tap in. Download something that changed your life completely. Everybody has one of those things. For me, I saw 30 coming, and I was like, I need to change my entire life. And started a couple months before with meditation, reading, and journaling, listening to a lot of podcasts. My personal favorite, Y&K. You never know, Mike and John Kilmer, good guys. But that introduced me alone just to more people that were on this route and talk about these things, and that's brought us here.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about, like, just, like, the energy in the room when we're talking about this, and just, what it feels like to prep this, and, like, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves, but, like, I think we both know that, like, this could be a big thing for both of us.
Yeah, I think it will be.
But I think that, like, this is also, like, a good way for us to just both work on, like,
it's going to be a lot of therapy sessions.
Having, like, just having, like, accountability with each other. Mm-hmm. Oh, there goes the boom boom sauce.
Let's talk about the devil's lettuce, kids.
We're not here to get you to try to stop smoking weed, but we are trying to get you to be better people. Just like we are. Like,
it's a process. It takes discipline. It's a lot of hard work. Got to show up every day. But you're showing up for yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you got.
And believe me this, we will be certainly having people on here eventually who can tell you stories about how we were not so good people in the past.
How things have changed.
But that's for a different time.
We'll get to their stories as well, and how they got to where they're at, and if they thought they'd be where they are.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's it's such an interesting way to look at it, which is that, like, when you're younger, you have such an interesting point of view of yourself. Like, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that.
Ego.
Yeah.
You have an ego point of view of yourself.
Yeah. I'll never do this, I'll never do that.
Mm-hmm. Some people do stick to those things.
And then I think that, like, once something comes knocking and, you can't say no to it anymore. And like, even so, we can say with this that things just started to line up, that we can't make any excuses that that we don't have the time to do this.
Yeah. You can always make the time to do whatever you want to do. Time is a construct. We're not going to dive into that either right now.
Maybe one day we'll get there, but yeah. So I think that a good place for us to start, which like we both talked about this before, which was the comfort zone and what kind of comes with that.
For both of us, I don't think this was in either one of our comfort zones. Like 2 weeks ago, let alone like years ago, I didn't think like.
Yeah,
This would have never been in my comfort zone. Talking on a conversation that's being recorded with a video and audio for other people to listen to is not something I would have found myself doing.
Yeah, and like I mean, you're a little bit better with the content, but I've been cringing at looking at clips of myself. And
I looked at your Instagram the other day and I realized that your last post was like from 2020. Like,
that crazy,
it's a drone video,
yeah,
and then the last time before that was a picture of you and Noah in like 2019.
Yeah, man.
I didn't realize that you don't use Instagram at all.
Yeah, I mean, I post on my story every once in a while. But
Yeah.
I really don't post like that. I don't know.
Not in your comfort zone.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel comfortable when you post stuff, or do you have to think?
I haven't done it in a while, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think it's just more like there's something about it that makes it a little bit okay of an introduction to it. Like if somebody else is hyping me up and doing it with me.
Yeah.
Because and also like part of it too is that like I just don't like people knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or where I'm at.
Yeah, social media is like that. It's either you're gonna have everybody knowing what's going on, or you're gonna have nobody knowing what's going on.
But this is like a way of you.
This is a slow introduction.
We're here, we do this, and this is a way of letting go of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll work our way up. The only people who are paying attention to this are people that we know.
Yeah.
Who you don't feel so self-conscious around.
Yeah, because
but you know that it's going to get bigger, and then it's just like, but you have to get like accustomed to that like you're going to have opinions, you're going to have.
And you're gonna have to step out of that zone, and where you judge everything, and you feel like people are judging you. You got to just let that go, because that's just a huge thing in life. But like for this, it's gonna be big. It's like not giving a fuck what anybody's thinking about.
That's exactly why we're here. I don't think we'd be here if we really did.
Yeah, we're just
like
trying to have conversations.
Like the resistance of it kind of just told me more and more that like this is exactly why we should be here. We should be doing this.
Yeah.
Like we can continue to make excuses and not, act like we're trying and not. And I'm really interested in seeing what this brings out in both of us in terms of now it's not like
because we're already changing, and now imagine what this is gonna do. That's like
not only that, but you have your friends, but now it's just like you're accountable to a whole different group of people who are
don't know you.
Yeah, of course.
So
like I said, that comes with a whole nother set.
But you got to trust your gut,
Yeah.
This is a trusting your gut moment.
So that's what brings us here, which is that like the kind of the thought of what makes you uncomfortable in terms of like you need to get away from this, and then something that is like it makes you uncomfortable because you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like as you get older, it gets hard to tell what that is.
I definitely think you have to be tapped into yourself. I feel like meditation is huge for me. It makes when you get quiet like that and you just have your thoughts, you can really sit there and be like, what am I actually thinking, and like what's just coming to me. And I feel like when you start being able to clear that out and figure out which is which, intuition becomes a lot easier for you, because you know that that's the universe fucking nudging you. It's not just like, oh, I'm like, maybe I should do it, maybe I shouldn't. Like, when you got that intense feeling, like, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think we talked about this before, too, which is that, like, we don't really know if this is the right thing to do, but that it's, like, we know that it'll bring us to the point of, like, maybe finding that out, or the next level or the next step of that. Like, it's not like, it's like, nothing, in my opinion, nothing wrong can come from us coming out here and trying to, help people and not feel alone.
Yeah. Talking about things that I don't know, until just recently and a few changes in the friend group, like, I wouldn't be having this conversation, so I don't know how many of people around here that, like, are having these conversations. But then that's another thing with this, you reach out and you find out who's in the same mind frame.
Well, no, yeah, and it's interesting, too, to see, like, which, by the way, like, anybody who has like shown any type of interest in this. Like I can't. I'm amazed by that, even at this very, very small beginning level.
Yeah.
So shout out to you and anybody. Like eventually, this is going to get bigger, and we're going to have other people involved, and the people who have like offered their services to us.
Yeah, a lot of support so far already, and that means a lot. There's people that have reached out about videography, studios, like helping with sound. There's guests that we've reached out to that you'll see eventually, but like they all jumped right away, said yes. Nobody said no. Like nobody hesitated. Everybody was just like, I think that's cool, and like I think that's cool that you can look around and be like, there's a community like that of people that are like, yo, this is dope. Let's get involved, you know.
Is that not why we're here?
Mm-hmm.
Like to hopefully create something like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's interesting to just put yourself out there and think like, will people listen to what I have to say?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we've been talking for probably 10 minutes now. How many people are still listening? That's something that I probably will catch myself thinking a lot as we do this.
What?
Like times, like how
long we're going for?
Yeah, like how long are we going for, but how long are people listening for?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that'll go
there's
away.
Tools that I'm not aware of yet that you
Insights on Instagram is huge. It lets you know how long people
well, that's like 1 minute clips, like if
yeah.
we're looking at like putting up like a 45-hour episode. Because I have no idea how that works, but if you do know how that works,
yeah, shout out to you.
Come
we are just figuring this out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think another good thing to talk about that we both kind of did, which is like the version of trying versus doing,
Mm-hmm.
and like instead of trying to make everything perfect, just pushing forward. Because it's like now we're here.
Yeah.
Right before this, I was
freaking out. I was just gonna say, not freaking out. You're very detail oriented.
I was trying to get the audio to get going good, and eventually, like I hope it sounds good. I had to just say fuck it because I'm not a fucking audio
engineer.
Exactly.
Yeah. A-Rad Music, hit us up.
But that's exactly the point, which is that like now once you get here, now you feel great.
Yeah. Now we're going.
I feel awesome. Now I feel like we can talk about anything. I feel very vulnerable.
We're gonna have a nice sunset, I think, creeping in.
It's just getting to that point.
Yeah. So, little stall moment right there. Hold on. We just smoked a J, so we're a little bit high, and this is the second time we're doing this. That's something we could talk about. So the first time we did shoot a podcast. There's clips of it that are out. You probably won't see it. Not for a little while anyway. We just decided that like that was a good test run, and we did like some things that we got out of it, and like we'll pull it up later on. But this is going to be the actual first episode that anybody can listen to. Depends on how long it'll take us to edit and look through it. It'll be out sometime this week.
Yeah, we're trying not to put too much pressure on it and just like put it out there and see what catches on, and then follow that from there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things that I think also ties into that comfort zone thing, which is talking about like sacrifice, which is that no matter what, I forgot, I saw some video and it was talking about how no matter what you're doing in life, you're sacrificing something.
Mm-hmm.
And like it can be good things, it can be bad things, it can be all sorts of things. But I think the point that was trying to be made was, if you're not sacrificing something that isn't that important to achieve something bigger, then that bigger thing becomes the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
you have to go after it.
Yeah. So it's like if your current job takes up a lot of your time and you feel exhausted by it, which takes away from that thing, what are you sacrificing? Mm-hmm. You're sacrificing your creative energy, all sorts of things, your mood, all sorts of stuff.
But
then, like, if you prioritize that thing and you do things like this and you move away from that, but the sacrifice becomes
what? I don't know.
No,
I'm mad high. I thought you were asking me a question.
No, like, but the thing that you're sacrificing is not going to that job.
Yeah.
Like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I get what
You know
you're
what I
saying. Like, and I mean, you have to put first, you were talking about it the other day about time versus importance and like what's more important to you. Do you want to go work 50 hours a week at a job and make like you make good money where you're not complaining about your money, it's just the
No.
time, like there comes a point in time, I think, when especially like when you're on this journey and you're going through these changes, that you realize like what's important to like spend time on, and like it's not always going to be work. Like sometimes there's other things that you can do to make money that you can monetize, and like you have to be able to do, well, you need time for that. You can't spend all of your time going to work. Like I mean, I don't have a problem with anybody that does it.
Don't get us wrong. Like, we're not saying that work
Yeah.
isn't important. That like
You need to have money.
Like we don't. Yeah, I mean, we also like come from, you know.
I'm not rich by any means. I come from nothing.
Well, I mean, we don't have like families or nothing either. So like, this is easier for us to do than it is for most people. But I feel blessed to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That we're just jumping off and doing this. I mean, I am working this weekend.
Yeah,
So are you.
Still worried I'm gonna have to find another job afterwards. Like we're just, I don't think it's so much that like we're trying to not work at all. It's just more having like a different relationship with it.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't take up the majority of your time, and more importantly, the majority of your energy.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to waste that. You don't want to expend energy on things that aren't important. You know, like what you put your energy into should be the things that you care the most about, and like obviously you care about working because you care about making money and supporting your family and doing whatever you have to do in your life, because that every money takes is everything. If you want to do stuff, you have to have money. It's not everything, but you know what I mean.
No, you have to have it. Like, we had to have a little bit of money to do this right now.
Yeah, but to me, like right now, this time that I'm spending doing this is more important to me than if I were to
like I said,
trying to work.
I think with me, you know, coming down to the end of working there and having a different, you know, setup of time, I'm just looking forward to like seeing what that feels like. You know what I mean? To just like getting more of a sense of, to get like recentered, get back, because you start to identify with like that, you know, the persona of, I'm not gonna say being behind the bar, but at least being in a restaurant and having to always be okay with things. You have to always take it all. You got to take the shit. You got to do, you know what I mean? And you have to do all of that in a day's work. And then sometimes, for some people, it's easy to go back to being yourself at the end of the night, and then other people, it's not.
Yeah.
And it starts to take a toll on you. And like I said, a lot of it feels very out of your control. So if you can get a better relationship with that, fine. But also at the same time, it's just like, wouldn't you rather be doing something that you have a little bit more control over?
Yeah.
So that you have the time to sit down and do things just like this.
Mm-hmm. And things like this are important. It's important to express yourself creatively and get that energy out of your body, because if you just build it up inside and you think all of these ideas that you want to do and you never do any of them, like you're just going to be so consumed with that energy not being expended. It just sits inside and bundles up, gives you anxiety, shit like that, because you worry like, maybe I should have tried that and you didn't. And like, that can be something that hurts, you know?
Well, and there's also something to be said about how, like, if you can't, like, maintain the vibration that you want to be at with the amount of hours that you're spending somewhere, you have to figure something else out.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, like I said, man, like, if you feel content with, you know, you go into your 9 to 5 and you go home and you watch TV at the end of the night and you wake up and do the same thing, that's fine. God bless you. But I guess, like, I think we're interested in, like, what makes people want to get outside of it.
Yeah.
What can you do? And also, like, how can you connect? I think, like, we'll have to be on the subject of how can you develop a good relationship with work and other things that you can meld it and make it work together.
Yeah.
Versus, like I said, having it take over.
Give me a second. I'm going to do some breath work.
That's okay. You want me to pause it?
Let it run, man. We can edit it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
breathwork is important, you know? It's like something that you can talk about. Like, breathing is fucking important, and it's not taught, like, to you as a child, and it should be. Like, that's one thing that helped me so much so far is learning how to breathe. I was just super anxious. So this will actually make me feel a lot better talking through this. I'm super anxious because in my head right now, I'm worrying about where we're going to have to clip this and what we're going to have to edit. And, like, I'm not sitting in this conversation with you.
No. It's okay. I
And,
went on a little bit of a rant there.
Yeah, you did. But like,
it's okay, though. Bro,
Yeah.
we're just here. We're not judging any of this.
We're not cutting any of this.
We're
We're
not
not
cutting
cutting any of this. It's all staying in. Yo, so that's like a thing. And like, I think that's something we could talk about right now. Let's talk about anxiety, folks, and how we all get worried about how people are going to think that you're getting judged all the time. Nobody gives a fuck what I'm saying right now. So you guys might be listening and you might watch this video, but at the end of the day, until I am a bigger presence in your life, this is coming in one ear and going out the other. And that's the God's honest truth. None of us are thinking about each other as much as you think we are. Nobody fucking cares, man. Because the human nature is to be in your own head, worried about your own fucking things, which I was just doing on camera and in the podcast for the last 10 minutes, bro. Yeah, man. Is this not what we're here for, though? This is mental health, folks. I'm talking about what's on my mind. Alexa,
It's okay.
that's a good rant. I feel like
That's good.
That's the clip right there. That's the clip I was so consumed about. Yo, nobody cares, dude. If we all just sat back and realized that like everybody's in their own world doing their own thing, one, we'd have a lot less problems with each other, and two, you'd feel a lot better about yourself because you're not constantly worried about what everybody else thinks of you, which is so fucking big. Like, that's a huge thing, I feel. I'm in it now. Let's fucking podcast, brother.
Honestly, I could not agree more. Like, and nobody has more trouble with that than myself, than being like, nobody gives a fuck what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if they do, then they need to worry about themselves.
Or they actually care about you and they're a close person, and thank you for caring.
No,
We do appreciate that.
But
that's not what we're
talking
talking about.
like,
Right now.
You get embarrassed. You walk into a room.
Yeah.
You post something online. You do whatever.
This is going to be online, and I'm going to walk into a store and see somebody I know, and I'm going to be like, I wonder what they thought about that. And in reality, I shouldn't care at all. I should just keep going grocery shopping and get what I need and get the fuck home. Stay present in the moment.
No,
it's literally tattooed on my leg.
The cashier at Quick Check was just asking me about the podcast, bro.
Yeah, he was like, when's the next episode coming out? I didn't even know you had a podcast. You're that guy?
What?
I can't. Hopefully one day we have Gary V sitting here. And I get to ask him about this.
No, all right, so if we're...
Because he's going to be like, you're right!
If we're
in that nice voice, that positive-ass voice.
Like, if we're in it now, then why don't we talk... I felt like that was really fun, and we could talk about that right now, which is like, if you have to think as big as possible so that you can look back on this and say like, oh, maybe I got one of these people.
Yeah.
Why don't we go back and forth and say a few people?
Okay, so
why
you want them on?
Yeah.
Well, considering this is mental health based and his podcast is what changed me. Mike, if you don't know who he is, at Just Mike on Instagram. Mike is a musical artist. He was a baseball player, and then he broke his arm or hurt his arm, got injured, whatever, it doesn't matter. Became a musician, writes really good music. He has a podcast with his boy John Kilmer and a bunch of his other friends. They have videos on Instagram. You can see all the shit. But he talks a lot about mental health, and an episode that I watched with him and Max Homa is like really what set me down this path. So I would love to have him on.
Nice, good call. I'm obviously gonna go way bigger because I want to just go as big as possible.
Okay.
Just for the sake of it. Like Rick Rubin, you're the guy. That man changed the way I look at creative stuff. Like his podcast that just came out is incredible, and like
Paul Heyman one is dope.
I gotta listen to that one. But like everything about like, and also just like that man has the most perfect voice for podcasting you've ever heard. And I just think it's so cool the way he looks at things, and that's my like that's the Grand Canyon right there.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to have Evan Brin. He's another one for me. His podcast is out there. You can go watch the Ebb and Flow. He talks a lot about masculinity and like not like super like masculine guy, but like he's talking about it from like more of the divine feminine side because he's a yoga teacher. Like he's an ex-NFL player. He was on Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson as like his co-host, and now he's got his own podcast, mad into mental health and spirituality, and I fucking love that. So like he's one that I would love to sit down and chop it up with. That'd be cool for me. I know who your number 2 is.
No.
You want to know what Wander Franco's doing, right?
Yo, it's funny. I was playing the show today.
Who are you?
And he came up to bat.
Did you hit him?
You know I did. That man crazy.
So who's your number 2?
No, I didn't. I haven't said this person yet.
Okay.
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney. That's an interesting one.
And not for the reason that you think that. Like, obviously he's fucking hilarious, and I love his comedy, and he's a hero of mine. But like the fact that he has a very interesting story with addiction, and we've both been down that road. I feel like that could be that would be amazing to have somebody like that on just to talk about like because when he was on Theo Von's, bro, he was talking about.
I haven't listened to that.
Bro, that shit is showing. He gets so into detail about like how much of a fiend you can be. You know what I mean? But it also makes you be like, okay, like you can change them.
Yeah, because he's different. I hope you're doing well, John.
Yeah. No. The reason why is because like what.
Yeah, no. You want to talk
about. The
about
last special was so good in terms of that.
Opening up. Cool. He's a very honest person.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And like also,
that's a big part of this
and, like,
changing.
To go from being like the goody two shoes comedian to like being up there talking about stuff like that and being okay with that and vulnerable like that. To be that vulnerable is a dream of mine. Yeah.
So, but to just let go. Just let it go.
I mean, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, man. I would have.
We don't have to have like a full list, like. But
I'll
at least one more.
I'll give you one more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a different way.
Okay.
I'm gonna go a completely different way.
Good.
Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, out here talking about dominating fucking life.
And how do you think he relates to your mental health journey?
I mean, my man had cancer, so he's been through it. Yeah, he's been through it. That's a guy who's been tested. All WWE jokes aside, like that's a guy who's been through some shit. So
I'm not too familiar with, but I forgot about that is.
Acknowledge him.
I acknowledge you, Roman.
Dude. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And I'm gonna go with another person who I have not said yet.
Okay.
But that was huge for me in terms of like podcasting, just like in terms of getting to like.
What podcasts do you listen to? After you answer this question, let's go there.
The one that I was gonna say is there's this dude. He does a podcast called 10% Happier, Dan Harris. And like years ago, I started listening to that one. And he did like a whole app with meditation, and like that helped me a lot too. And he just always had like interesting people who I had never heard of, but once you read their thing, it was always somebody interesting. Like it would be people who were like from meditation teachers to like people who had survived, like living in oppressed countries and stuff like that, and how their mental health journey tied into that. And it's like the whole backing of it is how do you get just that 10% extra happier, by looking inside yourself.
Yes. So on that note, what type of podcasts do you like to listen to? Because I know me and you are different. I definitely listen to way more stuff about spirituality and psychedelics and then like self-help. But I know you're into like more creative stuff. We have Rick Rubin in common.
That one.
Like
that's
what else do you listen to?
I always really liked Armchair Expert because Dax Shepard always has like
I've listened to
the best creative people, and like he always asks them the questions that I want to know, which is about like the screenwriting and the movies and stuff like that. So like that's one that like. I kind of base it just on if they have somebody on that I'm interested in, but I think that's what everybody does. Yeah. With podcasts, which is like
until you find the right one. Like you're always looking
of course. Like you bounce around. Like there's so much stuff to listen to.
Like I listen to Jay Shetty, but only when it's somebody I want to listen to.
They had an episode with BJ Novak that was really good. I listened to the Rich Roll podcast. That's a big one. He always has interesting people that like he's really into like the fitness, but also the mind,
Mm-hmm.
and like he had a guy on called Stephen Pressfield who does a lot of work on pushing through creative boundaries and like people who are full-time creatives.
Yeah.
He's always having, but then like the next one he'll have somebody on who's like they're like a yogi, or then there's somebody who's like a nutritionist, or then there's this person who wrote a book who was a Marine.
Yeah. David Goggins.
That's
what you're talking about? Yeah. A Marine, he's Navy SEAL. I just listened to him last weekend when I drove to Ocean City on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's one that I listen to, but I only listen to like specific episodes because he can get crazy. There's some shit in there that I don't want, that I don't need to listen to.
Well, no, I mean, I think that everything does, and like I said, we won't feel bad if you skip through some of our stuff if you're not interested. Like, we get that.
Yeah.
But hopefully the stuff that is interesting to you is just as helpful as it is for us.
Like, follow, comment, subscribe. You were never going to say it, so if somebody was ever going to say follow us, it was me.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do it with like a voice changer on my voice.
JP is very much, let's get real with this, you're going to be the more into the like engineering side of this, as I will be like the branding person, like pushing content and stuff, because like that's like more of what I'm into. And like
but we did talk about like how right now we're at the stage where we're doing this all on our own, and like what that would feel like and how that would
we're not a logistics company. We're not a logistics company.
But like how that would, as this starts to develop, and hopefully we have people who are involved that like I don't have to worry about stuff like that. That soon enough.
What are some of your aspirations for this? I'm sorry to cut you off, but like that's let's get into that. You finish what you're saying, and then I'm just throwing topics out so we remember them.
Of course.
I fucked you up. I'm so sorry. So what are some of your aspirations for this?
No. I remember exactly what we were talking about, which was what will it open up in the conversation when I don't have to worry about the technical side of this and just the creative side of it. And I'm really looking forward to what that'll be like, and who knows when we'll get there. But I do feel like once you get here,
we're already doing this. That's like a huge step.
So then, like, if I'm not the...
How many people actually, like, are like, I should do a podcast and sit down and fucking do it? I mean, there's a bunch of... There's so many. But there's also a lot of people that don't. That are just, like, too afraid to do it. And we actually fucking did it. So high five on that, man.
Nice. So, like, my background is in that, and I've done a lot of stuff in that vein. So I get very perfection-y and, like, zone into that. And maybe, as you say, what are some of your aspirations? I can start with one, which is to just like be more in touch with that side than that side. Well, not even because like if I worry about all the technical side, that's what'll fuck me up.
I want to become a very good interviewer.
Yeah, no, I mean
that's something that I would love to do. I feel like I've always wanted to like I have like that talkative side. Like I bartended my entire life. I've always like had to talk to people. So like to be able to talk to them and talk about what I want to talk about would be very nice. Listening to people just
of course. Like I mean, I think that we both care about this too much for it to be like one of us interviews.
Yeah, it's all gonna
be
a skill I'd like to
develop. Of course, like to ask the right questions, to ask those open.
Like when we have people on here, we can both bounce back and forth.
No, of course.
Like, a good conversation.
Yeah, to just like learn, like
I want to learn
what that
too.
means.
I think that's up there for both of us. Like,
and like set it. Yeah, of course. And like we're learning right now. Yeah. As this very recording is happening.
Yeah.
So. I think it's important that I say it, but this is really for myself. This is for none of you. That, like, don't worry about it. It's all going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to turn out fine.
Just like that.
Just put it out.
Yep. Doesn't that feel nice to get it off your chest?
No, of course. Yeah.
Like, you just got to let go. You got to let go of feeling like you, like you're being judged all the time. Because none of us really are.
Oh, no, of course.
Except by ourselves in our head. And that's just to a standard that our ego set for us, that it wants us to, like, maintain. And, like, at the end of the day, like, your ego's there to help you a little bit, but it's not, like...
No, it shouldn't be the driving factor.
You shouldn't be listening to it all day long, you know? Like, that's not a good path to go down. Because I've been there. I was there. Like, I feel like that's where I came from. I was such an ego person, like, listened to everything that was going on in my head all the time. That was the whole narrative for me, and now I'm not. Now, like, I don't really...
It's very easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah, and you want to become that person. I feel like having an ego death is... That's why I love yoga, yo. Yoga and mushrooms. 2 ego deaths. They'll fucking kill you, man. Like, you go to yoga, and you sit there, and you stretch for an hour in a hot room, like... And most of the time, like... I don't know. Like, do I want to go do it when I'm signed up. I gotta fucking go. Like,
yeah, I don't really give myself the choice.
Yeah, like I do it that way because like I've learned for me discipline is like you have to be disciplined. You have to do shit every single day. Like, and you have to try. And like when you're doing things, like you have to actually go through and do them. And like that's why yoga. I get there, I sit through class, and when I'm done, I feel so much lighter.
Yeah,
because it's just like I got rid of that part of my head that was like. Don't want to do this today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you wanted to talk earlier about habits, and I think that's a good place to start, which is that, like, how do you set yourself up for success? Like, there's, like, I feel like there's all these kinds of, like, little tricks that if you can learn what works for you, like, it's really, really possible to, like, make that easier for myself. Like, so, and I know that I saw this on a podcast somewhere, which is, like, oh, it's I never even read this book, but I'm sure that you have, which is like the Habits.
Atomic Habits by James Clear. Very good book. Which is like definitely read it.
Giving yourself the, like that little window into, like making 1% it a little easier to do that. Like figure out what the hard part is. So like one of those is like that. So like for me, it's like I have a hard time getting the yoga mat out. But like basically what I do 75% of the time, unless I'm having somebody over or like I need that space, I just leave it out.
Yeah.
And because I realize that the hard part is not doing the yoga. The thing that I get is like I don't want to move my coffee table and put it up and stuff like that. But if you can like figure out like that works for me. I don't know if that works for everybody.
Yeah.
But like if you can figure that little thing, like if you put your book on top of your phone in the morning. And, like, you get in that habit of saying, I'm going to grab the book before I grab the phone. I don't have to get out of bed. Yeah. I'm not going to go for my phone first. If you do that first, like, if you make that easier, you make that point to do that, that can be, like, an entryway into a whole other thing. And you start to realize what other things you can accomplish. Like, if it's that simple with something, like, that's good for you, how possible is it if you just open the door a little bit wider and say, like, all right, well, if I do this, I set myself up for success, and you start looking forward to, like, your future self succeeding.
Yeah, you're pushing the ball down the hill. Yeah. It's a 1% change he talks about in the book. It's like you've definitely heard about it. I mean, like he talks about like if you want to run, just put your shoes in next to your bed in the morning. Like this way, when you wake up, the first thing you do is your shoes are on the floor. You put your shoes on. That's 2 steps now. 1, you're out of bed. 2, you have your shoes on. Yeah. Go for a walk. Because at least if you walk, now you're outside walking. Like that's literally what I did. Yeah. I started off. I read The Untethered Soul. It fucking made me cry and like touched me. Like, dude, it fucking opened me up like to thoughts that I was like, oh fuck, like I'm not thinking this.
You realize you realize what you're avoiding that really is you.
Yeah, and like it was just read a book. Just keep reading a book. And like
really 10 books, bro.
I can You want me to? Fucking so reading that book opened me up. No, I haven't.
Like little kids, like name 10 books. You like to read? Name 10 books.
Yo, I feel like I have to name 10 books now.
No, you don't.
No,
I know that you know way more than 10 books. You don't have to prove anything.
I know the history book. What other ones did I read? Yeah.
I know Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Oh my god. They tried all the way back then to open us up. It didn't work. Shut it out. I was like, fuck are you teaching me about in high school right now? Oh, man. But no, in that book, it talks about like just setting those habits up. And that's like what I did. Atomic Habits is probably like the 5th or 6th book that I read when I started all of this. Like my routine started out as I would wake up at like 10 o'clock. Fucking degenerate. That was early for me. I was waking up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Yeah, oh man, disgusting. You'll get there though.
10 o'clock.
I was waking up at like 10 o'clock and I was like, I'm up early, man. So I'd meditate for 10 minutes and I'd write in my journal. I'd write a couple things. And then after I did that, I would just take the dog for like a walk and that was it. And I'd come home, I'd stretch, because stretching's good for you. You should do it all the time. And and that was it. That was literally how I started. Those first couple weeks, all I was doing was just getting up at 10 o'clock, meditating for 10 minutes, writing in my journal, walking the dog.
That was the routine.
And
that was the routine that led to anything else.
Eventually 5 push-ups and 10 push-ups went into the fucking stretching. And then as we got more into it, there was a couple days where I sat down for like 30 minutes and meditated. I was just like, if I put this extra time in, it'll like, I got deeper, and it worked. But I was reading every morning too, and the books that I were reading were all about that, and Atomic Habits was one of them. And it's, you make that 1% change, and that's exactly what I did. I built up a routine. Now when I wake up in the morning, I'm up at 5:45.
Yeah.
I'm out the door walking the dog by 6:45. I had 20 minutes of meditation. I wrote in my journal. I read the 7 Spiritual Laws, because I read that book every single morning now. I read at least one chapter. And then right now I'm reading the autobiography of a yogi, so I read a chapter out of that. Mm-hmm. I wrote down 5 things I was grateful for, 5 things I wanted to do today, and then my 5 affirmations that I say to myself every morning and every night before I go to sleep. And
yeah, well, it seems like it started kind of small.
It started small.
And then grew to, and because then it's like...
My routine went from 20 minutes to now it's probably about 3 hours. 3-4 hours.
Yeah, and that's spread out over the day.
That's just the first 4 hours of me waking up.
Mm-hmm.
Once I hit like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm done with everything. And that's the time I used to wake up to get ready to go to work. Yeah. I used to think that the world didn't start, no joke, until 12 o'clock when they opened the doors at River Grill. Because I worked in a restaurant for so long that nothing opened to me until I was at River Grill. And I was like, okay, this is the time of the day that people start doing shit. And I was so fucking wrong. I lost so much time for so many years with that concept in my mind, and it's crazy. And now I'm fucking earning them back little by little every fucking day. I'm getting some of that time back. I'm doing something productive, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's just, you can't change that. You can't go back and realistically, I can't even make that change until I'm gone there, because it's like, if you work till that late, you can't wake up at 7 a.m.
You can, but it's disgusting.
It's
disgusting.
But
you feel like shit.
And I'd be a piece of garbage to everyone.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like.
I mean, that's part of it though. Is changing your mind.
Yeah. True.
So that's a huge thing, because I didn't think I could fucking do this either.
No. Yeah. True. But also, I think that it'll be easier for me to just make that routine into
Once I know, because
because then it's just you stay out one night, you work till 2 a.m. and then everything's...
Yeah, you just have to make sure that when you get to that day when you're no longer working at River Grill, that you go, I'll push you, I'll be there, to fucking, to push you, but, it's, you don't want to set yourself up for, this is going to happen this day, and, if it doesn't, then you're going to be did I do, because I feel like that's something a lot of people do, is, you instead of making the small change and just doing it and trying it, I feel like you put a time. I did this for so long. I put a time. I just stopped drinking. I started meditating 300 days ago or something like that now. It's 280 something. But I am sober from drinking and partying 140 days. So think about all that time in between where I was I just kept telling myself, I was eventually I'll stop drinking. Eventually I'll stop. I just needed to stop fucking drinking. And it made everything so much easier. I couldn't live the way I'm living right now if I was drinking the way I was drinking. If I had a beer or two, I'd be fine. I'm just at a point where I'd rather keep rolling without the alcohol than put it into my body.
Then when you can get it down to the point where it's so little, then you kind of realize what's the point of it at all sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on your relationship with it, but if you can have an aware relationship with that.
What's your relationship with alcohol right now?
Right now?
Yeah. You're a lot better than you were.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying I've noticed that you drink way less.
You're not saying anything that isn't a fact, which is that probably I'd say over the last, what are we in? We're in August right now.
Yeah.
I'd say for the last maybe 2 to 3 months, I've really cut it down. And first it started with if I don't drink at work.
Yeah.
Or
that's
after work.
biggest one.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially for us right now in the industry that we're in.
Yeah. if I don't drink at work, then like I really don't have much desire to do it outside of it.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's only like a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Environment is definitely a big thing. That makes a huge difference.
So for me, like right now, like I really don't even. I have like, a shot here and there, or a beer here and there, maybe a drink here and there.
Yeah, because we went to the Mets game. You had a beer and a shot, and that was it for the whole time we were there. And when we went to a game that was delayed for an hour, so we were there for like 5 hours.
Yeah, but and honestly, like,
and that's an environment though that you normally in the past I know you would have drank, and
But I feel so much better about like when I'm driving home.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to worry. Like
100%.
I could get pulled
so
over right
big,
now. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to worry about stuff like that. Like and you just like like that to me, like that's a little change. But like I said, I think mine is I can I'll have a beer here and there. I'm perfectly content with that. I don't need to be 100% sober. But like just having a different relationship, that'll change even more when I'm not working in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then like I said, maybe you don't want to drink anymore.
Yeah.
It's like like also it's fair to be stated that like when you start doing things like this and get involved in other ways, like you start to realize that you were relying on that as a crutch.
Yeah.
And that like it can be there and be responsible, but at the same time it's like the conversation I have with myself is like, why have two when you can have zero sometimes?
Yeah. I know. For me, like
I'll feel better the next day. I'll be more productive.
Though I drank so much, man. So much. It's disgusting to look back on. I'm in the process. I've lost 59 pounds.
That's crazy.
In 7 months since I stopped. And like since I've stopped, I've lost even more weight. Like I was losing weight like when I started meditating and working out. But like since I stopped drinking, I've probably lost like an extra 30 pounds.
Yeah,
like I just cut it out, and like I feel so much better about it now. But like the way I drank, like it wasn't like I started off like drinking because I worked in a restaurant, I feel like, and then from there it probably went to I was drinking because I was bartending and I wanted to feel involved, and like I was also making myself more comfortable because you're in a very social environment and you're talking to people all day long. And then I think relying on that probably spiraled into like now I'm drinking all the time because I'm at work, and like I was also in my 20s, which is there's nothing wrong with drinking, but like the way that I drank I have a problem with. Like somebody else might be perfectly fine with it, but for me that was like I saw it coming and I was like, you gotta fucking change because this is.
How do you think that came about? Do you think that came from your gut? Do you think that came from your brain? Do you think that you had to get them both on the same page? Like, did you wake up in the morning and be like, I need to quit drinking, but I'm not gonna? Did you fight it for a while?
I know that when I drank, there'd be other things that I would do. And like for me,
point your microphone at yourself.
And for me, that was
See, that's really
yeah, that was something that I didn't want to do anymore. Like I knew I was gonna be 30. Like it was coming up, and I was like, it was March 26th. I was in Provincetown, and I had 4 ciders over 2 days, and then when I came home that Monday, I was like, no more, because I just like. The week prior to that, I hadn't drank at all. And then we were going away on vacation. So, like, I had a couple drinks while I was on vacation. But, like, I had already not drank before that for 5 days. But, like, I was just, like, I saw 30 coming. And I didn't want to party like I was partying anymore. And I didn't want to drink like I was drinking. And I came home one night and I was like, this is the fucking end of this. Like, it's time, because I was waiting and waiting for some sign, and it was just never gonna come. You just have to fucking make the change on your own, and like I did that night, and from that point on, it was just.
Has that ever been tempting for you
to drink?
Yeah. Or like I should say, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how tempting was it for you? How hard was it for you to say no?
At the beginning,
yeah.
The first 3 days, I want to say, were so easy because I was so into proving to myself that I could. And then, like, it was like, okay, at like the end of my shifts, when I was still working nights, I'd be like, I kind of want to have a drink here, but I'm not going to because I haven't and there's no point. So I would just go home. And then when I stopped, like, working night shifts, man, because I was still working nights, and I was just like going in, and I'm out of here. I'm not working tonight. Like I leave at like 9 o'clock. I leave at 9 o'clock. I leave whoever I was bartending with by themselves. I was like, fuck it. And that was fucked up to do. Like I should have just not worked those shifts because that was a change I was making.
It is what it is, bro.
Yeah. But then I made the change to only working days, and like that was the fuck am I gonna drink at work at 1 PM for, you know? Like that it's over. Like that was the biggest thing for me. Now, like, going out to eat, like, when I go out to eat with you, like, when I go out to eat with anybody, like, if me and my girlfriend are out, like, I'm not slugging, you guys drink. You guys drank the last time we went out together. Like, I don't care. I sit there, I have a fucking Doritos at Chapala, and I'm chilling. Like, that's all I need. Like, I've just come to, like, people, like, I thought I was going to drink a lot of non-alcoholic drinks at the beginning. And then I think because I'm so into fitness now, because, like, I saw the changes in my body, and now I'm just fucking obsessed with it, that, like, I'm not going to put in the extra 80 calories for a non-alcoholic beer. I don't fucking want that. Like, just for the taste of that, that's stupid to me. Like, I'm going to go have an apple juice because I want something sugary at the end of the day.
Well, you bring up a good point, which is, like, talking about, like, that's something that we lie to ourselves sometimes and say, it's not within my control. I work at a bar.
Yeah.
My job is stressful.
Oh no, you can make that change.
But once you really get in touch with like that,
our other friend is doing the same thing right now. He's not drinking, working in a bar.
I do have like control to say like, no, I don't have to have this beer. I don't have to, you know what I mean? And then you start to realize other things in your life, like, oh, like I have control if I go to this place. If I don't want to go to this place, and it starts to place, and then you start worrying less in turn about like things that are out of your control. You say like, well, you know what, I may not be able to control who walks in here tonight.
That's just letting go. I can control
that at the end of the night, I'm not going to drink, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow feeling great on my day off.
See, that's letting go, man. Because, like, that's such a big thing. Because you just have to, you can't control circumstances. The universe is going to fucking do whatever the universe, it's your job to align yourself with the universe and be where you're supposed to be. Like, be the person that you know truly that you can be. Don't be, like, just going through life like, oh, I can't, like, pissed off about everything. Like, that's how I was too. Like, you know, like, I was just like, oh, this isn't how I want it to be all the time. Like, you can't fucking think like that. When you detach yourself from that feeling, it's so freeing.
Like, yeah, and just, like, getting in touch with, like, that not every, like, the thought that comes in that says, no, like, you're not going to quit drinking. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
That's not you.
Yeah.
Or like, whatever it is that
you got to learn to tune that voice out to be stronger than that.
Whatever it is that, like, you're, you know,
and that's a process.
To do, and, like, I think that a big part of the journey for me was like not giving yourself a hard time for the thoughts that you have and not identifying with them and knowing that like some of them come from genuinely you. Yeah. But a lot of them, especially the ones that are negative and limiting and judgmental,
it's the vibration you're on. You bring yourself up.
Do not come from like
from
your
the negative
self.
Environment around you.
That came from elsewhere. Yeah. So once you get like in touch with that, and like I said, I'm like this, barely like, you know what I mean. You're just getting like a taste of it. But once you start getting like,
I'm like this.
We're gonna.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying there's so much. Like I've been doing it longer than you, and I'm only here. You know.
No, but I feel like in general, all of us are at this point, and we always will be. We're only just getting like a little bit. You know what I mean? We're only
the universe is infinite, and so are you. You are fucking infinite.
Exactly. So, and then like that changes. You know, you start to have different relationships with time, and with like who you spend your time with. Yeah. And like it all comes back to that like idea of like what's valuable, what's not, and if you can merge those things that are like enjoyable for you with making money, providing for people, is that not the truth?
If you've stuck around from the beginning of this conversation, we did bring it back around. JP just pulled us out of the fucking trenches. He connected the beginning to the end. Everything is just a circle. Everything's flowing all the time, man.
We're gonna keep going around.
There was a good stall in the middle of this podcast at some point.
Now, we won't get into too much detail, but when, like for you, when something comes up that you're trying to deal with, like for instance something that makes you anxious, and I don't really mean the small everyday things of life. I mean like when something big comes up that is like clearly changes your mood, makes you feel like makes you feel like you wanna not do those things, stick to that routine, be better for yourself, what is like the first thing you do to get yourself back to that?
Breath work.
Okay.
100% breath work every time. If you just take a deep breath in and fucking a deep breath out, and then do it a couple times and a couple more times, you can center yourself, and then you can address the issue. For me, I just quit my job, so like for me, every day I was going into work and I was like anxious to be here. I know everything's going to be the same as it was before. Like I was in a place that I didn't want to be in. I was ready to move on. It's not that I love my job. Like, I love the people that I worked with. Like, nothing against the place. It was my time. This is the conversation that I had with my guy when I told him I was leaving. I was just like, I need to go do my dream. And it wasn't doing what I was doing anymore. And I only got that feeling because I was going, like, when I was working nights and I first stopped drinking, I was getting anxious all the time going in. I was like, fuck, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. It's not a situation I want to put myself in. And then when I came off of the nights for a while, it was fine. And it kind of went away because I was only working the days. And I was like, well, like, at least I don't have to be here till 2 a.m. I don't have to be here super late. I don't have to watch people getting drunk all night. Like, and then it came back a little bit. And I was like, what the fuck? Because, like, now I'm working the shifts I wanted to work, and I'm controlling the situation, you know? Like, I got to work. I was there on the days that I needed to be so I could do my orders, so I could do what I wanted to do most efficiently as the bar manager. I wanted to have everything ready to go for the weekend and for the night shift people. Because that's big. That's how they make their money. You have to have everything set up for them. And that was my job. So, like, when that feeling started coming back, I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Because it's like, it was clearly not what I wanted to be doing, you know? Like, if I had had that feeling for so long and I had changed the situation 3 times to try and put it in my favor and it still wasn't, and it still wasn't, like, then it was my gut telling me, it's time to go, like, and that's what it was. It was just time for me. It's been a week and a half now, and I feel like I'm definitely a happier person. Like, I was already happy, and now I'm happier because now I can, like, focus on doing things that I want to do with my time, like we were talking about, like being creative. And, like, this is one of the things that I want to spend time on. Like, I'm going to be intentional as fuck if I'm going to podcast. I'm not going to podcast all willy-nilly, just like, we'll come out here, throw a couple conversations together on topics. Like, I want to talk about shit that fucking matters, and, like, that's what's important to me, and, like, that's what I was getting pulled to, and it was time that I just fucking quit my job and started doing what I wanted to do, you know? Because now I'm aligned. I'm aligned with the universe. I know I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. I'm supposed to be here having this conversation with you. Like, this is the way that this is the way life was gonna be. Regardless. I could not fucking change this.
This is how it was meant to be when we became friends when we were 12.
Yeah, you know,
this moment was destined to happen. And I feel like as you get older, you get more and more appreciative of this. And like I said, it's like, we're not like we're that old.
Yeah.
We're 30 years old. But, like, we've learned some lessons along the road. And I think we've been through all sorts of shit, like, in terms of not only the business, but our friendship, all sorts of stuff. And I will say this, though, like, it's very inspiring to see what you've done with yourself.
Thank you.
And to the fact that we've made it back to this point, you know what I mean? That we're here.
Yeah, man. I'm very happy to be sitting here with you. Yeah.
You know?
I think this is going to be huge for us.
Yeah, it's nice to, like...
That's our intention.
Sit down. Yeah, no.
To have a good conversation and to strengthen our friendship through this. We'll learn stuff and we'll get better together.
Yeah, and, like, I mean, I think that it's going to start small, but we're going to start meeting really cool people.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, like I said, the more people that want to get involved.
Yeah, man. I hope this helps other people. That's at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to be able to talk about what I want to talk about. And most of the time, it's going to be, like, mental health stuff. And, like stuff like that. Spirituality is, like, a big thing in my life. I'm not going to want to sit down and fucking talk about what the Mets and the Brewers did last night. There'll be days when we do, but,
we'll talk about that.
But, like, I don't... Yeah. You know what I mean?
I really need to get some shit on.
Yeah, like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to be open and be honest about myself and the changes that I'm going through and, like, how it's helping me, and I hope that helps somebody else, and that they can look at it and be like, okay. if he can change, especially if you knew me when growing up, like,
I mean, me too.
yeah,
We're
you
all
know,
kids
like, just to be sitting here is huge for me. Like, I wouldn't,
we know nothing as well. We're going on the journey with y'all.
yeah.
That's a
Who
that's a
thought
fact.
we would be here? I feel like that's a good spot to end.
Yeah, I mean,
You can roll for a little.
yeah, no, I'd like to keep rolling. I think we're in a good spot right now.
All right.
That
We're not ending.
we're definitely. I mean,
We're just
definitely not.
beginning.
You're the one who said ending.
Yeah, well, you know.
We'll do the cuts later. That like, I know I really do enjoy, and like I said, I think one of the things that helped me get to this point was to have a better relationship with your past self, giving yourself a break, and you know, you said like you're lying to yourself if you know you say, you know, my temper can't get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're lying to yourself if you say that like, you know, I can't make changes in my life to be better than myself. Like these are all things that are within your control. And I guess like I would say that we're trying to help people get access to those tools within themselves and outside of themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you.
like I feel like putting ourselves into the realm of like anyone who's like grown in some way.
Yeah. Who's changing?
Or you know, or even really just attempting to.
Ways
You
to
know?
change and help others change, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Our experiences with it.
yeah, I mean, like when you talk about like change itself, like it can start so small,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Like it did for me.
yeah,
It's happening for you right now. Like you're going by this day by day, waiting until you're done with work, and then like you tap in, you know?
yeah. But I
Because
like,
you're doing the steps right now. We're working on this right now. Imagine how much time you're gonna have for it when you're not working, you know, and the
Yeah.
other things that you're planning on doing, you know.
and I won't have the crutch of making the excuse that I had to.
Oh,
work
I had to go to
today,
work.
or I
Yeah,
had to do work tomorrow, or you know what I mean.
I was
That
out late
won't be
last
an
night.
option.
Yeah,
So like, if you can keep on that grind and like be honest with yourself and aware of like,
you got to be intentional.
yeah, of that like, okay, well, you know, like you can't. The excuse does not exist anymore that you had to work till midnight last night.
Yeah,
The excuse is not that you were surrounded by alcohol.
yeah,
That's not the excuse anymore. Like
yeah,
you can't put that on anybody. You can't put that on anything. Like and not even necessarily to say that like those are valid excuses, but at least ones that make sense to me. They won't be as valid.
yeah.
And you have so it's
I
just
understand
like,
where you're coming from.
how can you sit there and say like I did nothing today when I had nothing to do today?
Yeah,
You know.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And if we're going towards this path, that's why I say like what could go wrong if we're intentionally setting out there to be like we want to learn, we want to help,
We want to
and
talk.
we're here.